Hi, I'm Lou Ann Hunt, and welcome to the August edition of Lynchburg 360. It may look like I'm standing in the middle of an empty parking lot, but this is actually the middle of a desert. A food desert, that is. Food deserts are neighborhoods where residents don't have easy access to healthy and nutritious food like fresh fruits and vegetables. But a Lynchburg organization is working to change all of that, 1 mile at a time.
We got two stops today. The first one is Timbridge Manor off of Federal Street, and then the second is Victoria Ridge Homes off Victoria Avenue. Both sites are subsidized housing for either older folks or people with disabilities or people who aren't making very much money. We'll be at each stop for about an hour. Well, actually, amongst colleagues and friends, there's a lot of contention about food deserts. Essentially, it's a lack of access to healthy and nutritious food. And access can be defined as many different things. Access could be lack of mobility, actually physically getting to the store because you don't have a car, or because the nearest grocery store might be like 5-10 miles out. Food access could also be a lack of education around what is actually good for your body, what are some things that your body needs to function and be healthful. I mean, as we pass by, you'll see on our right there's a corner market. Well, actually, we passed by 3 corner markets already, and they'll start. Here's another one right here, actually, and they'll stock things like chips, maybe some canned goods. But even if they have nutritional things in the store, it'll still be at an exorbitant price. It'll be like $2 or $3 for a single can of beans. When we know that in grocery stores or in other outlets, you could get cheaper food. Clearly, I have not gotten the hang of parking this thing. We got eggplants and peppers.
You got peppers?
Yes, ma'am. They're all green peppers.
Oh, okay.
Yep, pretty big too.
Oh, Lord. I bought 2 huge, wonderful eggplants. I bought 2 dozen brown eggs. I bought a bag of lettuce. I bought 4 peppers. And
one day
what else? Oh, cantaloupe. Nice ripe cantaloupe. I absolutely love it because I can't walk down to the market the way I would like to. I'm used to driving. I no longer drive since I had a stroke, so this is wonderful. The prices are fantastic, especially compared to I was at the market yesterday. I just wish we had more fruit, like peaches, berries, stuff like that.
So I've been working at Lynchburg Grove since last August 6, 2014. Initially when I signed on, it was mainly just about growing food, maybe doing some programming for people coming onto the farm, mainly kids groups, tour groups. But a large component of what our mission has been of late is addressing food deserts and crises in food security. A lot of these folks are in very large residential communities, very close to downtown, but still live miles and miles away from a grocery store.
Did you put this ad for
They've got cantaloupe.
I started in January.
How much is the cantaloupe?
It's $2 a piece. If they're real small, like these are real small, I'll do $1.
Really green too. They're gonna have to right.
This, all right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Most everyone knows that Lynchburg is named for John Lynch, the young Quaker who started a ferry service across the James River in the 1750s. But you might not know that John Lynch's brother Charles was also busy around these parts during the 18th century. To find out more about Charles Lynch and some other pretty interesting folks, you just need to hit the road to Altavista. It's all part of this month's Day Tripper segment.
You know, a lot of museums are there because of a day in 1865 or because one notable personality lived on the premises, but Avoca is one of those option D, all of the above places. We're here because of not hundreds but thousands of years of history. We know by archaeological evidence that's still coming out of the ground to this day that there was a major Native American trading site here for thousands of years prior to the arrival of English speakers. It holds relevance in the American Revolution, the Civil War. There's architectural history to boot, and on top of it all, we find some really interesting African American history coming from the folks that lived here for so many years.
Now, can you tell us a little bit about the connection of Charles Lynch being part of Avoca and the connection to Lynchburg?
Absolutely. A lot of Lynchburgers are familiar with John Lynch being the gentleman who took over his brother's business, running a ferry, a government-sanctioned monopoly on the James River crossing, and toward the end of his life he began to sell off lots that eventually became the city of Lynchburg. Well, his brother, Charles Lynch, was the owner of the property down here in what we now call Campbell County. For the years leading up to the American Revolution, he was a magistrate, he was a member of the Virginia Committee of Safety, and he also was present at the Virginia Convention in March of 1775 when Patrick Henry gave his famous "Give me liberty or give me death" speech. During the Revolution, he was, as his epitaph out here in the graveyard will attest, a fervent and arduous supporter of the cause of liberty during the American Revolution. He raised troops. We have evidence that he paid for their equipment out of his own pocket. By the end of the war, he led them in battle, but the thing that he is most known for is his institution of Lynch's Law here on the grounds of Avoca. This house that stands here today was built in 1901. It was built by descendants of Colonel Charles Lynch. To be precise, it was built by his great-granddaughter and her husband, a gentleman named Thomas Fauntleroy. Well, the last member of the Fauntleroy family, the youngest daughter, passed away in 1980. Now, I say that she was the youngest daughter, but by this point she was a 94-year-old woman. When she passed away, she left the house to her son, the only one of her children to survive to adulthood, Dr. Lindley Murray Winston Jr. Now, Dr. Winston was quite a successful physician. He had a practice in Philadelphia. He had business interests in LA, and he simply didn't have the time to take care of a house that was quite frankly falling apart by that point. So he deeded the house to the town of Altavista, and with the understanding that the town would use it as a social gathering spot and as a museum to celebrate local history. The house is a Queen Anne Victorian. It is characterized by its wraparound porch, its prominent gables, its asymmetrical features, and of course, who could forget the tower. The tower is the most dramatic part of the house, and that's one thing that a lot of folks look for when they see a Victorian house that was built around this time. Now, if you go through the house, you're not going to see a lot of original furnishings that belong to the family. You'll see some, but not too many. And that is because when Dr. Winston inherited the house, he took possession of it. He had a big estate sale out on the lawn, and a lot of the pieces that were found in the house were sold off at auction, and then it was deeded over to the town of Altavista. But Some of those things have in recent years started making their way back to us. Folks have remembered purchasing it at auction. They have unfortunately passed away, but have been kind enough to remember us in their will. And some of those things have started to come back. The rest of the pieces in the house are replicas of pieces that you would expect to find in the early 20th century, or have been donated to us but have come from other households in Southern Virginia.
Well, tell us a little bit about the gardens. They are very unique and very beautiful here.
We have one garden here on site that was planted around 1880, and we know that because there are bricks from the 1879 fire that are used to line certain parts of the garden. We call that our Victorian garden. We feel like the name fits pretty well, and that garden has been continuously maintained ever since 1880.
Now tell us a little bit about rentals here, because people can rent Avoca for their special events.
That's right. We have birthday parties, anniversary parties, and of course weddings here. We have 23 or 24 weddings booked for this year, and that's about typical. And I would recommend Avoca for anyone who is looking for a nice, classy wedding with historic ambiance at a very affordable price. We are owned by the town, and so we feel that it's a good way to give back to the community to offer the site up at a rate that's not going to break the bank.
So we'll have people from Lynchburg watching this show, and they say, well, I want to come out and see Avoca. What are some of the highlights that they're going to see when they arrive?
Well, first of all, we're not very far from Lynchburg. A lot of folks think that Altavista is further away from Lynchburg than it actually is. In reality, we're maybe 20 to 25 minutes south of the Wards Road area. Now, when folks come to Avoca, they'll see a Victorian house, but there's so much more that we have to offer. For instance, a few years ago, we made national news when we located a slave cemetery here on the premises. And what we have done is we have enlisted the help of our community, the Boy Scouts, other organizations such as the Greater Lynchburg Community Trust and the Sons of Confederate Veterans, and that cemetery was cleared, a nice fence was put around it, and we have an access road built leading anyone who wants to visit out to the site. Also, we are rich in Revolutionary War history. I alluded to that a little bit earlier, and Civil War buffs will have something here that they could really sink their teeth into. The last Confederate general to be killed in the Civil War was the heir apparent to Avoca, and so when he died in the late stage of the Civil War, his body was brought here and he was buried here on his 25th birthday.
It sounds like the story of Avoca keeps evolving.
It does, and one of the ways that we do that is through research, and we have research that goes on even today. Just this week, we found out about a terrible whooping cough and measles epidemic that went through the area in 1884, and that epidemic killed 2 children from this family's household in the same week, which really wasn't all that uncommon back in the 19th century, unfortunately. So we are learning a lot about the people that lived here, the people that inhabited this spot, and like I said, there's so many different layers of history. We'll learn about something that happened 1,000+ years ago, but in the same week learn about something that happened in the 20th century. So yes, we are always learning, and that's where we want to be. We always want to be learning more and more about the people here, because the more that we learn about the people of the past, the better off that we are for the future.
What does Avoca mean to the community of Altavista?
Avoca is the crown gem of Altavista. It is a great place for them to congregate. We hold public gatherings here all of the time. We hold TGIFs, and we hold lantern tours around Halloween. Of course, the beer festival that we have annually, the wine festival that we have annually are very well attended. We have an average of about 400 to 500 people turn out for the beer festival, and about 900 to 1,000 turn out for our annual wine festival.
It's got a place in Altavista's heart.
Absolutely. This is a very special place for the town of Altavista. There aren't many towns in America the size of Altavista that has a historic resource like the one that we have here.
One of the hardest jobs at the Lynchburg Hillcats isn't being a player, a manager, or even a member of the grounds crew. Imagine having to wear a heavy fur costume on some of the hottest days of the year. But for years, the Hillcats mascot Southpaw has done just that, all while bringing smiles to thousands of fans. Our intern Jessie Best caught up with this cool cat to see what being a baseball mascot is all about.
Brought Southpaw here in 1995, back when more and more sports teams were getting their own mascot. He lightens up the crowd. The kids really love him. He gets the spirits of the fans lifted. He's running around doing crazy things, dancing on the dugout. Just adds to the overall fan experience, especially for the young kids. And he's also a great ambassador for the team as he makes numerous public appearances at schools and birthday parties and other events like the Christmas parade and grand openings. So he's a busy, busy cat.
Down, 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 and the flames went higher, and it burns, 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 the ring of fire, the ring of fire. I fell into a burning ring of fire. I went down, 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 and the flames went higher, and it burns, burns, burns.
That's it for this edition of Lynchburg 360. We'll be back next month with more of the best that Lynchburg has to offer. In the meantime, don't forget to sit back and enjoy the view.